Good morning. So it is Memorial Day, happy Memorial Day, and I figured that I've been in a little bit of a reading slump because, you know, I've had one or two things going on in my life, and I am halfway through both of my last, two asianreadathon books. So I'm halfway through Severance and I'm less than halfway through The Sympathizer. I'm having a really hard time listening to audiobooks, but I do have a knitting project I'm finishing up today, so I'm gonna put an audiobook on while I do that. And I figured, why not do a good old-fashioned readathon reading blog. It is May 25th, and so it is now or never on getting this reading done. So I'm gonna try and do a chunk of it today. My goal would be, if I could, to finish Severance and maybe make some headway on The Sympathizer. I'm also still halfway through Bicycle Race, which I mentioned in my Reading for Revolution video, and I really want to finish this. So we'll see. I'm letting myself read to my interests today, whichever one grabs me. I'm trying to read in the morning because it starts to freak me out by the time I get to the evening, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm just gonna be reading. I'll keep you updated on how I feel about this. I'm 126 pages into Severance, and it is a little creepy. There's a pandemic or a plague that hits, basically, and it's good. It's well written. It's a lot. All right, it is a couple of hours later, well, maybe like an hour later, and I'm on page 202, so I've read about 100 pages. Whew, it's stressing me out. This book is stressful. It's both like apocalyptic and also like a very interesting commentary on working, on what it means to have an office job, on being an immigrant, on America, what the values of America are. It's very good. It's just stressing me out. So. Okay guys, hey, so I just finished Severance. Wow, I have more to say about it, but I'm gonna do a whole asianreadathon wrap up, I think, later. This book stressed me out and gave me a lot of anxiety. I think reading it during a global pandemic may have made parts of it more real than it would have in another time. I really liked Ling Ma's commentary on capitalism and work culture, and just this main character Candace, who just keeps working as the world ends, is very relatable. There's a way in which my own productivity and like the need for productivity, and even making these videos as the world is shifting dramatically, making meaning by working and putting one foot in front of the other. I mean, it's relatable, and the way that capitalism and consumerism tells us to be, and the way that all of these things are linked, gave me a lot to think about. So glad I finished it. Glad I did like a little sprint this morning and just got through the rest of this book. I'm gonna make myself an acai bowl or something to just cleanse. I need a moment to process what I've just read. So, okay, I'll keep you updated as I read my next book. Talk to you soon.
It'll never be too late to hope. It never was enough to cope in numbness and wait in darkness. I speak it out in the air and carrying a spirit of resilience and persistence. Something's on the way, water for the soul, sun to make it grow, seed ready to break. Out from underneath, planted in belief, I know. I rest assured, I know. I rest assured.
We'll never be too old to learn, forever too young to comprehend the greater plan. So cast away every care, watch them all float into the distance, a new existence. Something's on the way, something's on the way. Water for the soul, sun to make it grow, seed ready to break. Out from underneath, planted in belief, I know. I'll rest assured, I know. I'll rest assured, something's on the way. Seed ready to break. I'll rest assured, I'll rest assured, I'll rest assured, I'll rest assured.
Hey y'all. So it is the evening time. I'm drinking a gin and tonic, a little lime juice, little gin, little tonic. I'm shaking the camera. I don't even know how I'm doing that. But it is feeling like summer outside, and so this is a very sort of British way to spend your evening, celebrating Memorial Day. And I finished Severance this morning, so I am now going to finish Bicycle Race. It's the next morning. I'm actually doing a little bit of editing, and I realized I didn't film an outro or let you know I finished Bicycle Race last night. I ended up curling up in bed and just reading through till the end, and it was so interesting. It had a lot to talk about when it comes to not only bicycling, and race, as the title would allude to, but also had some really interesting process perspectives in terms of how Adonia Lugo conducted her research, but also she was hired on to an organization, a nonprofit, and in order to do advocacy work and to bring in the conversation of equity in a bike-centered or bike advocacy-centered organization, and just the process by which she was brought on and how there wasn't buy-in from leadership or the board, and just sort of, it gave some background process questions around how we think about equity, how we think about people we hire to bring equity, especially if they are people of color in our organization, was really eye-opening, especially as someone who has worked for nonprofits and sort of can be in that space. It was good to see ways that people were really allies and ways that people were really not. They were really obstacles, and also to show like how difficult it can be to transform a movement that is centered around one status quo. For the bicycle movement, bike advocacy, it tends to be bike infrastructure, building out cities so that there are more bike lanes and so on and so forth, instead of thinking about human infrastructure and these other, like the other intersections with social justice. It's hard to shift from that perspective. There's been a lot of political capital and social capital and campaigning and lobbying and energy and money and time and resources that have been put behind, we gotta get more bike lanes in our cities, we've gotta get more bike infrastructure, we've gotta model it off of Copenhagen. And that conversation can get complex, especially when you intersect with gentrification of certain areas, especially when you don't take into account what she calls the core ridership, what other people tend to call the invisible ridership of people of color and lower income folk who use bikes as a mode of transportation because they have to, not necessarily because it's some expensive hobby they are partaking in. And right now, or at the time that this book was written, the conversation was very much centered around biking as a hobby or biking as a social status, biking as an environmental statement, as opposed to like, how do we create equity and safety and conversation around, you know, the core ridership of bikers who use it as a form of transportation, linking with other forms of public transportation because they don't have a car or they can't have a car, or they're trying to work within the system that they are living. So I thought this was very eye-opening, and I thought it was also really interesting to see like where it intersected with parts of my life and my work experience, as well as my bosses referenced in this, so that was kind of fun. So I gave this a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I thought it was I didn't realize how process related it was gonna be, and I enjoyed those parts, but I do see, I wish it was almost like a little longer and I got into some of the juicy recommendations for future, but I think that she is in the process of community building and learning and working through those, so we can all be part of the solution in that. So this was great. I loved this. Severance, I also I also gave 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed that, and I'll tell you more about that in a future video. But if you enjoy what I do around here, I'd love it so much if you could like this video. It helps grow my channel. If you could comment, I really want to talk to y'all. What have you been reading? Have you been in a reading slump in May? I feel like I did so well in April, and May's been a struggle. And also, if you could subscribe and tell your friends, send these videos to your friends. Do you know someone who likes to read? Let's get people here so I can chat with them. Also, there's a little bell next to the subscribe button that you can turn on to get notifications every time I post. And as a reminder, I post every Wednesday and Sunday. So with that being said, I will see you on Sunday with a new video, and I appreciate the time that you spend with me here. All right, take care, guys. Hope you're well.